to the better harvest, appreciation of the kwacha against major currencies, reduced fuel prices, and the impact of tight monetary policy stance. As at yesterday, the kwacha had appreciated by 14.7% against the US dollar due to improved supply of foreign exchange. On the budget, Madam Speaker, this government has demonstrated incredible discipline in managing public finances in spite of challenges like COVID and the drought. This is why there has been a significant reduction in fiscal deficit over the last 4 years. In 2024, the deficit reduced to 3.5% of the GDP from 9% in 2011. The reducing deficits have the effect of sharply reducing the growth of public debt. Fiscal discipline has continued. The budget performance as at end August this year was broadly on track. Total revenue and grants stood at 119 billion kwacha against the target of 126. Expenditure was 138 billion against the target of 152 billion. The deficit for this year is projected to be within the target of 4.6%, which was revised from 3.1% in July. The adjustment was mainly to accommodate the clearance of fuel arrears and the resumption of debt servicing payments after debt restructuring. Madam Speaker, regarding the debt, as it ends June 2025, the central government external debt, excluding publicly guaranteed external debt, increased by 2.3% to $15.78 billion from $15.43 end December 2024. This was primarily driven by disbursements by multilateral and plurilateral creditors. Publicly guaranteed external debt was, however, unchanged at $1.36 billion. Madam, as at end August 2025, the overall stock of treasury bills and government bonds increased to $242 billion from $229 billion as at end December. Madam Speaker, the outstanding payments to suppliers of goods and services increased by a modest 3.3 billion to 84.1 billion. On the financial sector performance, Madam Speaker, the cost of borrowing still remains relatively high, not good for any of us, at 29%. That notwithstanding, credit to households and businesses grew by 20.7% during the first half of the year. Madam, the overall financial performance and the conditions of the banking sector is okay, satisfactory. The banking sector remains profitable with relatively low non-performing loans as at end August 2025 so the non-performing loans ratio stands at 3.8% against the benchmark of 10%, meaning our banking system is solid. Madam Speaker, this also remains the case with the non-bank financial sector. To safeguard financial stability, Madam Speaker, against adverse impact of drought and support economic growth, Bank of Zambia launched a 5 billion stability and resilience facility in December last year. Demand on the facility has been overwhelming, with approximately 4.7 billion approved, most of it to agriculture, manufacturing, and energy. On the external sector, Madam Speaker, preliminary data indicate that export earnings during the first 8 months of this year were 8 $8.18 billion compared to $7.26 billion during the same period last year. In other words, our exports base is rising. The better performance was mainly due to rising copper prices and favorable prices. During the same period, imports amounted to $8.21 billion, representing an increase of 18.8% as more and more machinery and other equipment gets imported in our country, which is something positive for the near future. Madam, over the last 4 years, non-traditional exports grew by 37.3% and were $3.54 billion in 2024, driven mostly by agriculture and manufacturing. Over the same period, we saw a lot of foreign direct investment coming in, which increased by 62.6%, exceeding $1 billion of investment coming into our country alone. And most of this went into the mining sector. Madam Speaker, gross international reserves, these have been rising. We are just under $5 billion now. At the end July 2025, from $4.3 billion at the end of December 2024. In terms of import cover, this was equivalent to 4.8 months of imports. Let me now go to macroeconomic objectives, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, to consolidate economic and social gains towards a prosperous, resilient, and equitable Zambia, government has set the following macroeconomic objectives for 2026. A, attain real GDP growth rate of 6.4%. B, reduce inflation to the 6 to 8% target band. C, maintain gross international reserves above 4 months of import cover. D, increase domestic revenue to at least 22.3% of GDP. E, reduce fiscal deficit to 2.1% of GDP. And F, limit net domestic borrowing to 2.3% of GDP. Madam Speaker, I will now run through policies and strategies for 2026. Policies and strategies for 2026. And as I do so, I'll follow the pillars that are enshrined or which are in the 8th National Development Plan. Those pillars are what we do about economic transformation and job creation, what we do about improving human capital, in other words, education, health, and others, what we do about environmental protection, what we do about good governance. So this is the format of how I'm going to talk about policies for 2026. Let me therefore start with economic transformation and job creation. Madam Speaker, it is vital that our country experiences strong economic growth year after year. The jobs that we desperately need and the increased revenue we seek to spend on social services and public infrastructure become available only with strong growth. Building on the strong growth of the past 4 years, we must ensure as a country that it is not only sustained but accelerated. Madam, upon assuming office in 2021, we pledged to grow the economy through industrialization and economic diversification. Over the past 4 years, the country has attracted significant investment in mining, manufacturing, tourism, energy, and other sectors. Our efforts in revamping and growing the economy are evident. Let me now, Madam Speaker, at this point, go through sector by sector what policies will be implemented so that growth takes place in those sectors so that those sectors drive the growth of the economy. And the starting point, Madam Speaker, the starting point is mining. Madam Speaker, performance of the mining sector has definitely improved, without any doubt. Copper production increased to 821,000 tons in 2024 from 737 in 2023. In 2025, the target of 1 million metric tons of copper production is already in sight as we continue with the journey towards the 3 million tons target per annum by 2031. This positive performance, in other words, this positive performance of making sure that the mines produce more, not the mines to close, not the mines to reduce production, but to increase production. This is what is going to contribute to positive economic growth. The positive performance, Madam Speaker, is at the back of stable mining tax and the regulatory regime and settling of disputes out of court. This has seen the reopening, Madam Speaker, this has seen the reopening of some old mines, new investments, and revitalization of activity at existing mines. Madam, as the President said, and as the Minister of Mines also said, notable milestones have already been attained towards this goal. Here are a few reminders of what the two Presidents and the Minister said. Firstly, we commissioned First Quantum Minerals S3 expansion project to enhance annual production to 270,000 metric tons. Madam Speaker, if the UPND government had not come in, this mine S3 would have closed. Now it is expanding. Secondly, we are upscaling production at existing mines such as Barrick Rumwana Super Pit. Again, if the UPND had not been there, the Barrick Rumwana Super Pit would not have come on board. Konkola Copper Mines, Madam Speaker, we all know it was closed. Now it is open and expanding. Luvambe Copper Mines, Madam Speaker, it was almost closing. Now it is expanding. Madam, Mopani Copper Mines was closed. And now it is expanding. All these mines with combined production will reach just under 600,000 metric tons of copper per annum. New mines, Madam Speaker, a new mine is expected at Mwekera Copper Mine. A new mine is expected at Mingomba. A new mine is expected in Mumbwa, of all places, Kitumba Mine, with a combined production capacity of 700,000 metric tons. With this development, Madam Speaker, the Zambian economy, which is already growing, will reach very impressive levels within the next 2 years, which have never been seen in the history of this country. Madam Speaker, artisanal and the small-scale miners have also performed very well during our tenure, with copper production projected at 80,000 metric tons this year, a significant rise from only 13,000 in 2020. From both the artisanal and the small-scale miners are contributing to the production of gemstones, gold, and manganese. Madam, to formalize artisanal and small-scale mines, 1,498 licenses have been issued since 2023. However, the increased incidence of accidents and death due to unsafe mining practices, those are issues that the Minister of Mines is addressing. Madam Speaker, to further support formalization and improve trading in minerals, government is constructing 2 marketing centers in Mumbwa and Rufosa districts, with completion expected at the end of this year. This initiative will be rolled out to other districts where mining and trading activities are already taking place. Madam.
The honorable members, please, can we listen to the budget address? There's a lot of talking on both sides of the aisle. Order.
Madam, progress to map economic mineral potential using the countrywide high-resolution aerial geophysical survey is at 34%. First time in the history of this country. Since the exercise was launched in July 2024, so far, western and parts of northwestern provinces have been covered. And in 2026, this work is going to continue, and there will be budgetary provisions to support the continuation of this work. Madam Speaker, to regulate and monitor the development and management of mineral resources in the country, government enacted the Mineral Regulation Commission Act of 2024. And the commission coming out of that will be operational by the end of this year. This commission will work hand in hand with Zambia Revenue Authority to adhere to provided tax laws. Madam, the budget that I shall announce this afternoon contains some investments in the sector to consolidate economic and social gains we've made so far. Let me move on to the next growth sector of agriculture, livestock, and fisheries. Madam Speaker, upon assuming office, we embarked on transforming the agriculture sector by addressing low production and productivity, limited market access, underdeveloped value chains, dependence on rain-fed agriculture, and adverse effect of climate change. Madam, a maize bumper harvest of 3.7 million metric tons was recorded during the 2024-2025 farming season. This was due to good rains, but also, importantly, timely provision of inputs into our farmers under the Enhanced Farmer Input Support Program. As we speak right now, Madam Speaker, inputs are being distributed and people are already redeeming their vouchers. In addition, Sustainable Agriculture Financing Facility was introduced in 2023 to enhance access to agriculture finance, and 8,000, almost 9,000 farmers access loans valued at almost 800 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, our objective is to increase maize production to 10 million metric tons, wheat to 1 million metric tons, and soybeans to 1 million metric tons per annum by 2031. These output targets are well in excess of what Zambia can consume. It follows that the surplus must be exported. As a people, we must therefore recognize that improving our incomes by producing large surpluses is tied to exporting those agricultural surpluses, including maize. Madam, to make the Farmer Input Support Program more cost-effective and efficient, government has rolled out the e-voucher system to 74 districts. During the 2025-2026, the e-voucher system will be rolled out to the remaining 42 districts. Madam, to enhance climate resilience, we will continue to improve and modernize agriculture infrastructure. Since 2022, government has constructed 6 dams, Kapekesa and Kawawa in Eastern Province, Muyembe in Luapula Province, Shikeji in Northwestern Province, Yundwe and Jongolo in Southern Province. These dams are benefiting over 126,000 people and 221,000 livestock. In addition, government has rehabilitated 10 dams and maintained 791 nationwide, creating over 8,000 jobs. In 2026, we'll construct 9 dams, complete 7, and maintain 300. Madam, another measure that has been taken to improve climate resilience is the development of drought-resistant crop varieties for maize, millet, sorghum, cowpea, and cassava. In addition, government inaugurated Baya Itava seed plant in Kabwe, one of the largest seed-producing plants in Central and Southern Africa, and this is now contributed to Zambia, being one of the largest exporters of seed on the African continent. Madam Speaker, to address the unpredictability in agricultural markets and commodity prices, government will introduce the Agricultural Marketing Bill and amend the Food Reserve Act 2020 and the Agricultural Credits Act of 2010. The desired outcome is increased production and productivity, food and nutrition security. Madam, in the livestock subsector, government is aggressively pushing for entry into the export markets. To achieve this, 5 disease-free compartments at Kankata, Chipata, Chisamba, Mumbwa, and Namwala have been established. The compartments are expected to export at least 20,000 metric tons of beef per annum. 20,000 metric tons of beef per annum. In 2026, government will establish additional disease-free compartments in Choma, Mazabuka, Mukushi, and Sinda. Government will also support the livestock sector through enhanced disease control and surveillance. Madam Speaker, to improve disease control and surveillance, government has heightened vaccination against diseases of national economic importance. By the end of this year, vaccination coverage will reach 75% of the targeted livestock. Government will also operationalize regional laboratories in Isoka, Mongundola, and Solwezi district to complement the already functioning laboratories. Madam Speaker, the fisheries and aquaculture sector has continued to register steady growth. Domestic fish production increased by 24% in 2024 from 159,000 metric tons. This was mainly on account of increased fingerlings production, which rose by 90% to 475 million in 2024. Consequently, Madam Speaker, the national fish deficit is reduced significantly, positioning the country to achieve the projected fish consumption of 16 kilograms per person per annum by 2026 from the current 13. Madam Speaker, this positive performance is attributed to interventions by government implemented through the Zambia Aquaculture Enterprise Development Project. Madam, in 2026, government will continue to implement the Genetic Improvement Program to enhance the performance of our local culturable fish species. Government will also operationalize aquaparks in Kabompo, Mungwi, Bushindamo, and Samfya. Madam Speaker, to improve provision of agriculture extension, government has since 2021 recruited more than 800 extension officers. Over 600 agriculture camp extension officers have also been trained in climate-smart agriculture. Madam Speaker, let me move on to the energy sector. Zambia today faces a serious shortage of energy almost all caused by 2024 drought. I repeat, Madam Speaker, government today faces a serious energy shortage, almost all caused by the 2024 drought. Government sympathizes with the citizens for the difficulties that this has brought on us. However, Madam Speaker, the shortage also reflects the underinvestment in the sector since independence. The current installed capacity for generating electricity could have been adequate with sufficient water in the dams, but clearly this is not the case because water is not enough. The rising activities in the mining sector and therefore increasing demand for electricity means that the installed capacity, even if we have sufficient water, this installed capacity will not be enough. Madam, over the past 4 years, this government has been undertaking reforms in the energy sector. These include diversifying the energy mix, improving the regulatory framework, and introducing flexibility in tariff structures. In particular, government has created an environment that enables the private sector to be active players in the energy sector, from generation, including exporting and importing. Madam Speaker, today, Zambia is considered by our neighbors as one of the leading reformers in the energy sector. Madam Speaker, the coming on board of the private sector is positive. I want to repeat this because it's very important. Because I hear somebody saying Kanona, so I must explain. The coming on board of the private sector is positive to our local markets because it complements the efforts of existing players like ZESCO. Madam Speaker, because of the history where ZESCO was not made to pay its bills in the past, they imported electricity from Mozambique. They never paid for that electricity. So when ZESCO goes to Mozambique today and the other places to say, can we buy electricity? The people say, those who are selling electricity say, ZESCO, you don't pay your bills, so we won't give you electricity. This was because of PF, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, the importance of the private sector is this. Because sometimes there is electricity in the region, but we are not able to acquire it because ZESCO must put money up front, and they do not have that money. So what happens? Those with cash, private companies with cash, now they can go and buy the electricity and make it available to our country. They are not even a middleman for ZESCO, no. When they buy that electricity, they sell directly to the mines. So those who are talking about Kanona and so forth, they are talking out of ignorance, Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable members, please, can we have some order?
So, Madam Speaker, the reforms in the energy sector are very important. That's why these innovative reforms have been recognized by the rest of the world, and Zambia is being praised. Madam Speaker, partly as a result of reforms, installed electricity generation capacity has increased to 3,886 megawatts in 2025 from 3,318 in 2021. In other words, since this government came into office, the installed capacity for electricity has actually risen. This includes on- and off-grid systems. Of this, over 80% is hydropower. Our efforts are now targeted at increasing generation capacity from non-hydro sources so as to minimize the risk of uncertain weather. Madam, to diversify the energy mix and end load shedding, government has facilitated the coming on stream of 125 megawatts of solar energy. Within the next 12 months, another 1,500 megawatts will come on the stream. In addition, 300 megawatts from the new thermal power plant at Mamba will come on board in 2026. And Madam, just within the next 2 weeks, the President is going to officially open another power station at 5 megawatts from thermal just outside here in Lusaka. Madam, the government is also promoting solar installation for public institutions, households, and businesses. Our target is to increase the share of non-hydro renewable energy. Madam Speaker, the energy crisis would have been far worse had Zambia not been connected to the Southern African power pool, from where she can import and export power depending on the need. Next year, Madam Speaker, next year, only under the UPND government, works will start on the interconnector between Zambia and Tanzania next year. With that interconnector, Madam Speaker, the energy system of Zambia will be connected not just to Southern Africa, but to also be connected to the Eastern African countries of Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Tanzania itself. Madam Speaker, had the interconnector been done in previous years, for example, in the last 10 years, under the PF, the current power crisis would not have materialized because Tanzania had surplus electricity last year, even now, which, however, they were not able to sell to us because there is no connection. So, Madam Speaker, those who failed to put this interconnector, they must now praise us for putting up this interconnector now. Madam, the solution of increasing the generation capacity, which is necessary and is being implemented, will not be adequate to bring about immediate relief to consumers because it takes time for the generating plants to be constructed. But small businesses, in particular those with a little capacity to adapt, need immediate relief for them to survive. This is the solution that my colleague, through government, is working on right now, and the Minister responsible for energy will announce the details pretty soon. Madam Speaker, the works to accelerate rural electrification is ongoing, but government also continues to provide a conducive policy environment to adopt progressive reforms that attract private sector. Next year, Madam Speaker, next year, government will establish an electricity fund that will strengthen our electricity security and ensure stable supply. So this electricity fund is something that I'm going to announce later today. Other key reforms, Madam Speaker, include multi-year tariff framework, electricity open access framework, net metering, and single licensing system. Madam Speaker, As far as the petroleum subsector is concerned, government has since 2022 been facilitating private sector participation in fuel procurement. We have this year implemented the Tazama Open Access Framework, which has liberalized petroleum transportation, and the country is already benefiting. Madam Speaker, let me move on to the sector on transport and logistics. Over the years, Zambia has been transitioning from a landlocked to a truly land-linked country. This transformation is being realized through deliberate interventions in the development, modernization, and the maintenance of road, rail, and water transport infrastructure. Madam Speaker, as we connect with the neighboring countries, I want to say that in my 2025 budget address, I indicated that 210 kilometer Chisali-Nakonde road was at 9% completion. This road has been completed now. Madam, government is now constructing two toll plazas along the road and rehabilitating the 15-kilometer stretch from Chinsali-Nakonde Road Junction. We have also completed, Madam Speaker, the Mongu to Limulunga Road. We have also completed, Madam Speaker, Chirivuluma Road, which is the first ever concrete road in Zambia. Madam Speaker, rehabilitation and upgrading of the Monze Nico Road is at 74%.
Order, honorable members. Please, can we have some order? Honorable member Fonkana. Please desist from debating while you are seated.
Madam Speaker.
Let this be the last warning.
Madam Speaker, rehabilitation and upgrading of the Monze Nico Road is at 74% and is expected to be completed this year. Rehabilitation of the Lusaka-Mongu Road from Tate Yoyo Gate to Katunda is at 24% and expected to be completed in 2026. Further, rehabilitation of the Batoka-Mamba Road is at 39%, with works expected to be completed in 2027. Maintenance of the Monze Mazabuka Road is progressed well and stands at 69%. Madam, government is currently upgrading the Chipata Chadiza Road, Blue Lagoon and Samfia Luwe Kasava Road, and in 2026, government will embark on the construction of the Mufulira, Makambo, Mansa, via Chembe Roads, Madam Speaker. Luansobe, Mpongwe Machia Road, including the Ngawe Bridge, Chipata Lundazi, Mutanda Mwinlonga, Livingston Kazungula Sesheke Road, and other vital links. Madam, government is currently upgrading the Chipata Chadiza, Blue Lagoon and Samfia to Blue Kasaba Roads. In 2026, government will embark on the construction of the Mufulira, Mokambo, Mansa Road via Chembe, Luansobe Mpongwe Machia Road, including the Ngabwe Bridge, Chipata Lundazi, Mutanda Mwinlunga, Livingston Kanzungula Sesheka Road. Madam Speaker, government has since 2022, signed 10 public-private 10 public-private partnership PPP agreements in the road sector with a total investment of $1.7 billion, covering over 1,500 kilometers, with more coming on board by the end of this year. This is an unprecedented milestone. Madam, the first PPP project, the Chingola-Kasumbalesa Road, was completed in December 2024. Madam, progress on the construction of the 327-kilometer Lusaka-Ndola carriageway flagship project now stands at 45%. Just to remind you, Madam Speaker, this project is expected to be delivered before the official completion date of August 2027. As part of this project, the 45-kilometer Luansha-Fisenge-Masangano Road was completed this year and is now open to traffic. And Madam Speaker, this Ndola Lusaka, this is the one that was almost going to be, I think colleagues had proposed to spend $2 billion on this road. When this road, Madam Speaker, now it's just going to be done, it's just over 600 million kwacha. From $2 billion to 600 kwacha, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, construction works on the Ndola-Sakania-Mufulira Road is progressing well, with 17 kilometers leading to Sakania border completed. Other PPP projects with notable progress include the Kasomena-Mwenda Road, including the border post, Lumwana-Kambimba Road, Katete-Chanida, and following the signing of the concession agreement for the establishment and upgrading of 371 kilometers of Mutanda to Kaoma via Kasempa Road, works are expected to commence before the end of this year. Madam, to support rural development and connectivity, government embarked on the rehabilitation and the maintenance of feeder roads. Under the improved rural connectivity project, so far, 2,400 kilometers have been rehabilitated and is under maintenance against a target of 4,200 kilometers. Madam Speaker, to facilitate the movement of goods and services and boost economic activities in rural areas, government targets to upgrade 808 kilometers of feeder roads to gravel standards. These include Lupuma, Mukutuma, Mukumbo Road in Lufanyama, Musele Wamafwa Road in Kalumbila, Chilombo Katoya Road in Kaoma, Shindaila Chungu Kalaba Road in Lupososhi and Samfia, Chisanga Kakonko Road in Ngawe, Chinambi Mbizi Road in Nyimba, Chikowa Tenof Kambindwa in Mambwe, Luimba Katoba Road in Chongwe. So far, 300 kilometers have been completed, while the remaining works will be completed. Madam Speaker, in 2026, government will commence the construction of the Calabos-Congo-Angola Port, Mpika Chisali Road, Serenge Mpika Road, Mwinonga Jimbe Road, including the border post at Jimbe. Government will also commence works to rehabilitate the Mutanda Kisasa Mwinonga Jimbe Road and the Kasempa turn-off to Kavompo via Mufumbo Road. These roads are a significant part of the Lobito corridor. Madam Speaker, government is rehabilitating and upgrading roads in 8 districts, namely Choma, Kitwe, Luansha, Lusaka, and Mazabuka, Ndola, Sinadonga, and Solwezi. Of the 127 kilometers of selected roads being worked on, 50 will be completed this year and another 50 in 2026. Madam Speaker, to enhance connectivity, 15 Acro bridges will be constructed across the country. Madam Speaker, let me say some words about the railways. As we speak right now, the negotiations, tripartite negotiations between China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation, the government of the United Republic of Tanzania, and Zambia, the negotiations to concession the Tazara Railway, those negotiations are complete. Madam Speaker, before the end of this year, that concession agreement to revamp Tazara is going to be signed. Under the concession, Madam Speaker, railway infrastructure will be rehabilitated to enable efficient transportation of minerals, agricultural products, and other essential goods, including passengers. Madam, you will recall that Zambia has also signed a concession agreement for the development of the Lobito Railway Corridor, which will provide connectivity to Lobito in Angola. Further progress on this project includes the completion of the first draft of the feasibility study. Other important milestones, such as the environmental and social studies, selection of contractor, and the raising of capital are underway. Madam Speaker, once the Lobito Railway Corridor is done, Tazara is done, and we know these are going to be done, Zambia will truly be the hub of this region. Because for the first time, there will be railway connectivity linking the west coast of Africa to the east coast of Africa. So the transport hub is becoming a reality, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with regards to air transport, government has since 2021 done the following. The Kasama Airport has been rehabilitated, Chipata Airport rehabilitated, Mongo done, Solwezi done. Further works have commenced to upgrade Mansa Airport and Mfue Airport. Madam, in 2026, construction work is going to start on the following airports: Choma, Cassava Bay, and Nakonde Airport. Land, further, Madam Speaker, land for the future development of Chipata, Solwezi, and Mongo airports has been secured. Madam Speaker, to ease the movement of people and goods and facilitate trade, we have been undertaking border infrastructure development. These include Kazongola, Mwami, Uchinji, and Nakonde borders have all been turned into one-stop border posts. Further facilities at Chirundu, one border post will be upgraded. Katimamulilo and Kasumbalesa all are aimed to be upgraded, including others at Janida, Sakania, Sikongo, and Zombe. All these will be done under PPP, Madam Speaker. Further, Madam Speaker, on the water transport, government has completed the construction of Nchelenga Harbour, while works at Samfya are at 9% completed. Looking ahead, government plans to develop other harbour infrastructure at Siavonga, Chipepo, Sinazongwe, and Shangombo in 2026. Let me say something about tourism, Madam Speaker. This is a sector that has seen remarkable progress. Madam Speaker, international arrivals for tourism. International arrivals in tourism. In 2022, we had 1.1 million arrivals. Last year, 2024, Madam Speaker, the arrivals doubled to 2.2 million. This improvement reflects the bold measures we took, such as stronger international marketing and visa waivers in the most important markets. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to say that domestic tourism has also flourished. As at end 2024, we recorded 530 visitors to our tourism sites in the country. Within tourism, Madam Speaker, very interesting statistics here again. Hotel occupants has seen a boost, with the Livingstone hotels reporting 70% occupancy compared to only 40% in 2023. And the average length of stay, Madam Speaker, is also increased to 5 days from 3 in the past, signaling increased interest. Madam Speaker, another interesting sector, also very important, please pay attention here. In the manufacturing sector, I'm happy to report that the sector is among those that have attracted huge investments of over $4 billion. The multi-facility economic zones have attracted some of these investments. Madam, as at end 2021, the Lusaka South MFES had 17 operational companies with an investment portfolio of $264 million and over 7,000 jobs. In 4 years, Madam Speaker, in 4 years, meaning now, those investments have jumped from $264 million to $1.4 billion. From 20 companies with jobs over 31,000 created. Major investment in the zone. And Madam Speaker, these are verifiable facts. Anyone can go in the Lusaka multi-facility economic zone and check for yourself some of the major investments that have happened there. We have ceramic factories in the Lusaka MFES. We have steel factories in Lusaka MFES. We have a starch factory in Lusaka MFES. We have a milk processing factory in Lusaka MFES. We have copper rods. We have electric cables. We have conductors, pharmaceutical products, all happening today in the Lusaka multi-facility economic zone. Madam Speaker, the Jiangxi multi-facility economic zone in Chivombo. This has also attracted investment in excess of $128 million. What do you see there, Madam Speaker? In the Chivombo multi-facility economic zones, batteries are being manufactured, batteries are being recycled, copper cables are being manufactured, and more than 1,100 jobs created in the Chivombo MFES. Madam Speaker, there are other MFES like in Kalulushi, ZCCS, we have Kalumbila MFES, and all these we are pushing very hard to have investments coming in. To attract similar and more investments, Madam Speaker, the government has declared new economic zones. These include the wonderful Group Industrial Park in Chilanga, Mukuni Multi-Facility Economic Zone in Kazungula, Monze Multi-Facility Economic Zone in Monze, and the Golden Baobab Multi-Facility Economic Zone in Kafiwe, with a total investment of $3 billion, creating over 13,000 jobs. Madam Speaker, here's another interesting statistic. I'm happy to report that all essential machinery for the Zambia-China Mulungushi textiles has been received and is now being installed in the readiness for commencement. Kawe, here we come. Madam Speaker, as you recall, This factory is one where promise after promise, visit after visit, and photographic sessions after photographic sessions were conducted, but nothing was done. Now it is happening, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the small and medium enterprise development, since 2022, the New Dawn administration has empowered over 103,000 individuals and about 9,800 micro, small, and medium enterprises. With regards to Citizens Economic Empowerment Fund, government has in the last 4 years empowered more than 83,000 beneficiaries under various schemes. Madam, government has made significant efforts to address challenges faced by small and medium enterprises and farmers in accessing affordable finance. As at end August 2025, a total of more than 19,000 small and medium enterprises had benefited from the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme. Madam Speaker, we are not only empowering our citizens economically, but also building the capacity of the local businesses to compete. On information and communication technology, Madam Speaker, government has prioritized the construction of communication towers in underserved and unserved areas. Going forward, government remains committed to ensuring that communication towers are constructed to strengthen e-governance and digital services. Madam, to provide digital services to underserved and unserved areas, government has since 2023 deployed 525 Starlink kits to 230 government departments, all 156 constituent offices, 109 post offices, 23 youth resources, and other public institutions. Madam Speaker, to improve public service delivery, government continued to roll out government-wide network to public institutions. So far, 93 local authorities, 79 district administration offices, and 29 schools have been connected. So, Madam, everything I've said so far was what is going to happen to push the agenda of job creation and economic growth. I now move to the policies that address human and social development. Starting with education and skills. Madam, government's commitment to uplifting education is unquestionable. This is reflected in our commitment to provide free education, provide teaching and learning requisites, and recruit human capital and develop infrastructure. Madam, the introduction of free education in 2022 has lifted the burden of school fees from millions of families. We've witnessed an increase of about 2.3 million learners in primary and secondary schools, particularly benefiting girls and vulnerable children. Madam Speaker, just to repeat, because this statistic is very important, we have witnessed, and since the free education policy started, we've witnessed an increase of 2.3 million learners in our schools. Madam Speaker, before the free education policy, these 2.3 million learners would have been languishing without education. Now they are back in school. To complement free education, Madam Speaker, government has scaled up homegrown school feeding programs which now the school feeding programs now reaches 4.6 million learners in 116 districts. So, Madam Speaker, these children in school, 4.6 million of them are fed by your government to make sure that they can learn properly. In 2026, the number of districts is going to be expanded where the feed program is. It's going to be expanded from 106 districts to 116. In other words, to all the districts in the country. This program is provided every child an opportunity to access education and to remain in school regardless of their background. Madam Speaker, to improve the quality of education, government has since 2022 recruited 42,000 teachers. This year, Madam Speaker, this year, 2025, we are recruiting an additional 2,000 teachers. And Madam Speaker, next year, just to make sure that we have enough teachers, an additional 3,500 teachers will be recruited. So 2,000 teachers this year, 3,500 teachers this year. Madam Speaker, one wonders, before the UPND government, what were the children learning in school in the absence of teachers? Madam Speaker, in addition, because, Madam Speaker, our children used to sit on the floor, in addition, 1.6 million desks across the country, 1.6 million desks across the country, out of which 42% were procured from our own local suppliers using CDF. Those have been procured. Madam Speaker, in my last address, I informed this House that there had been so many high schools, Madam Speaker, that were abandoned for 10 years without completion. So many that were abandoned all over the country. So last year, as we continue to address this problem of abandoned high schools, last year I informed this House that 317 secondary schools were under construction across the country. I'm happy to report that 151 were completed last year and 46 scheduled for completion this year. The remaining 120 will be completed in 2026. So, Madam Speaker, schools that were abandoned for 10 years, schools that were Madam Speaker, to improve infrastructure at our universities and transform the learning environment, government will complete the construction of hostel blocks at the Copperbelt University and the University of Zambia in 2026. Works at other public universities are progressing well. Madam, to align the education system...
Honorable Member for Bahati, please leave the House, go and laugh. When you are done, you can come back. Honorable Member for Bahati, you've been laughing through and through. No, Bahati, the one seated near Chilubi, Honorable Member for Chilubi. Yes, Honorable Member for Milengi. Please leave the House, go and laugh. When you are done, you can come back.
Madam, to align the education system with the demands of the labor market, government is implementing the 2023 revised curriculum. This is being done in a phased approach with full rollout expected in 2029. Madam, in the area of skills development, government has since 2022 provided bursaries. Since 2022, government has provided bursaries to 28,212 students and trained 210,000 youth from TVET institutions. In 2026, government is going to provide bursaries to 6,000 students and train 100,000 youth in various skills. In the area of health, Madam Speaker, our focus is on achieving universal health coverage and provision of quality health services through the recruitment of health personnel, provision of medicine, medical supplies, as well as infrastructure development. Madam Speaker, since 2022, government has undertaken massive recruitment of health personnel, with 18,305 hired and an additional 2,000 to be hired by the end of this year. So before the end of this year, 2,000 additional health workers. The increase in the recruitment of health personnel has contributed to improved health service delivery. To consolidate the gains in the sector, government will recruit in 2026 another 2,500 health personnel. Madam Speaker, since assuming office, the New Dawn administration has completed the construction of 282 health facilities nationwide, 7 at level 1 hospitals, 101 main hospitals, 33 health centers, and 131 health posts. To further increase access to health services, government has commenced under Phase 2 the construction of 5 level 1 hospitals in Choma, Kabwe, Monze, Solwezi, and Zambezi, and 120 mini hospitals across the country. In 2026, government using CDF will continue to construct maternity annexes across the country. Madam, last year I informed this House that government will commence the construction of the Ndola Cancer Treatment Center and modernization of the Cancer Disease Hospital in Lusaka. And I wish to report that we have made progress. The Ndola Cancer Treatment Center is at 75%, while the modernization of the Cancer Hospital in Lusaka stands at 40%. Government, Madam Speaker, to ensure the availability of medicines and medical supplies in health facilities, government has continued to procure essential medicines and medical supplies. As at end June 2025, Madam Speaker, essential drugs availability significantly increased to 90% for health centers compared to 46% in 2021. So, in 2021, medicine availability was at 46%. This year, availability is at 90%. Madam Speaker, in addition, government is strengthening measures to eliminate pilferage. Our commitment to provision of essential drugs and medicines remains strong. To improve patient record management in public health facilities, government will continue to implement the Smart Care Pro system. This system has significantly contributed to efficient patient information exchange across all public health institutions. Water and sanitation, Madam Speaker. Since 2021, government has drilled more than 2,000 boreholes, rehabilitated 671 nationwide, and built 491 piped water schemes, benefiting over 687,000 people in rural areas. Further, the number of people saved with water supply increased by 517,000, while sanitation services increased by almost 740,000. We are also constructing 168 modern waterborne sanitation facilities in schools, health and centers, markets, and bus stations. As a result of these interventions, incidences of waterborne diseases, such as cholera, has drastically reduced. Madam, major water supply projects completed in the past 4 years include Kaflafuta water supply system, benefiting over 1 million residents on the Copperbelt province, and the Kazungula water supply and sanitation project, benefiting over 20,000. Madam, the sector has also made concerted efforts towards improving operational efficiency. I think this point is important to note, Madam Speaker. The operational efficiency includes meter installation, replacement of worn-out pipes. These have resulted in the reduction of water wastage from 57% to 54%. Further, energy efficiency measures such as installation of solar-powered pumps have contributed to the reduction in electricity costs. These measures create a strong foundation towards the attainment of universal access to water. But there are challenges, Madam Speaker. The challenges is that there is an increasing gap between the cost of providing water and the average tariff. The average cost of producing a cubic meter of water, Madam Speaker, the average cost of producing a cubic meter of water currently stands at 18 kwacha. So a cubic meter, to produce it, you spend 18 kwacha. But when that is sold, it is only sold for 7 kwacha, 19 kwe. So therefore, there's a gap between the cost of producing water and the revenue that is collected, and that revenue per cubic meter is 10 kwacha, 10 kwe, or cumulatively 1.3 billion kwacha. Clearly, we need to do something here, undertaking reforms, because otherwise there will be no sustainable supply of water. So we need to do something that we need to discuss as a country. How do we eliminate this gap between the costs of supplying water and the revenue? Madam, to unlock the potential of the water and sanitation sector and the attract private sector, there is therefore need to undertake structural and fiscal reforms, as I've just said. On social protection, Madam Speaker, to safeguard the poor and vulnerable, government will continue to increase and broaden social security coverage through programs such as social cash transfer, food security packs, and girls' education and women's empowerment livelihoods. Madam, to support the livelihoods of vulnerable, government has in the past 4 years increased the number of beneficiary households under the social cash transfer to 1.3 million beneficiaries from 895,000 in 2021. In 2026, government will further increase the number of beneficiaries to 1.5 million households, impacting over 8.4 million people. This is indeed a caring government. And Madam Speaker, This money then gets stolen en masse, is delivered to the beneficiaries. To support vulnerable but viable farmers, government will increase food security packs beneficiaries to more than 320,000 from the current 244,000. Madam, with regard to girls' education and women empowerment and livelihood program, 317,608 girls and women were supported under Phase 1. This year, government launched Phase 2 of the program to benefit 1.5 million vulnerable households. Madam Speaker, to safeguard our retirees from falling into destitution, government has continued to liquidate pension benefits. Over the past 4 years, more than 8.6 billion has been released, enabling 11,921 retirees to be fully cleared. This intervention reduced the average waiting period for pension payments from over 3 years to 3 months in 2023. However, due to the resource problem caused by the impact of the drought last year and the resumption of external debt servicing, the waiting period has unfortunately risen to an average of 1 year. Despite these challenges, government has continued to release funds, and we hope to get back to 3 months in the near future. Madam, our firm commitment is to further enhance pension benefits to public service workers by building sustainable and resilient pension system. To this end, government has embarked on comprehensive pension reforms, which include the introduction of an occupational pension scheme for public workers. These reforms are designed to resolve financing challenges and ensure that public pension funds are sustainable. Madam Speaker, in 2024, the government introduced the Cash for Work program to cushion our citizens from the adverse effects of the drought. Under the program, over 2.4 million beneficiaries have been recruited and empowered. The program has provided income-generating opportunities to vulnerable individuals in exchange for cash wages. In 2026, Madam Speaker, government will reform the program and address some of the challenges experienced and improve targeting. To leave no one in doubt, Cash for Work program continues in 2026. Madam, government is developing a national social registry to streamline social protection and human capital development. This registry will help in the administration and also sometimes in terms of avoiding double dipping by beneficiaries. So that was the second pillar of the National Development Plan. We've done economic growth and job creation. We've just finished social development. We now go to the third pillar under environmental sustainability. What are we going to do next year? Madam Speaker, over the past 4 years, government has been promoting sustainable development and environmental protection by enhancing the regulatory framework, advancing green financing, and investing in weather climate services. This has made the country attractive in the global carbon market. Madam, following the development of the forest carbon regulation and green bond guidelines, 105 million has been raised through the issuance of green bonds. These funds have been invested in solar projects in Riverside and Itimpi in Kitwe, resulting in generation of 34 megawatts and 60 respectively. Government has also been implementing the emission reduction program, a mechanism through which participating groups and communities are provided with monetary rewards for conserving natural resources. So far, 56 chiefdoms in Eastern Province are participating. Further, 359 community forest groups across the country have been designated over 10 million hectares as forest management areas. To strengthen our national capacity for climate resilience, government has installed 250 automatic weather stations and 300 rainfall stations within agricultural camps across the country. These facilities transmit real-time data to enable timely and accurate monitoring of weather. Madam Speaker, environmental pollution remains one of the most pressing challenges of our time. In particular, the indiscriminate disposal of plastics has become a major source of land and water contamination, threatening ecosystems and health systems. To address this problem, I will be announcing fiscal measures to discourage excessive use of plastics so that environmental friendly alternatives are used. Madam, equally, the unregulated use of mercury and other hazardous chemicals in mining activities poses danger, poisoning rivers, soils, and affecting communities. These measures to stop this include strengthening enforcement against illegal mining, promoting mercury-free gold processing technologies, and enhancing awareness of campaigns on the dangers. I move on to good governance, the last pillar of the 8th National Development Plan. Madam Speaker, government has been strengthening the policy, legal, and institutional framework for good governance, as well as enhancing the rule of law, human rights, constitutionalism, and fight against corruption. This is being achieved through reforms such as fiscal consolidation and debt management. As far as fiscal consolidation is concerned, we have achieved in the last 4 years is a result of significant legislative and administrative reforms that we have implemented. Madam Speaker, contraction of debt is now required to be approved by Parliament, and financing of infrastructure projects is mostly through PPPs. With regards to administrative reforms, we've rolled out the information and financial management systems across government, implemented the smart invoicing system, expanded the government service bus, implemented the state-owned enterprise policy, and introduced the fiscal management framework. Madam, to further reduce budget deficit and consolidate fiscal sustainability, revenue mobilization will be strengthened and the resources channeled to areas with maximum impact. Madam Speaker, to address prevailing gaps in tax system, government in 2026 will formulate the medium-term revenue strategy. The objective is to broaden the tax base and strengthen compliance. Madam, to simplify and harmonize tax administration procedures, government will in this session present the tax administration bill. And Madam, to improve the performance of state-owned enterprises, government revised the state-owned enterprise policy. The policy aims at strengthening good corporate governance as well as enhancing fiscal performance. Furthermore, government is developing state-owned enterprises bill, which will be presented to this House in this session. Regarding the fight against corruption, government is amending the Anti-Corruption Act. This is aimed at strengthening the independence of the Anti-Corruption Commission and enhance anti-corruption enforcement to increase transparency the government will amend the Companies Act to strengthen provisions on beneficial ownership by requiring the disclosure of ultimate owners of companies. Madam Speaker, on debt management, on assuming office, this administration made a commitment to restructure our external debt and chart the path to debt sustainability. We are delivering on this commitment, Madam Speaker. So far, we've reached agreement on debt treatment for approximately 94% of the debt within the restructuring perimeter. This is a demonstration of our commitment to restore public debt sustainability. The various challenges that this process has faced, commitment through addressing the challenges. In this regard, I wish once again to thank creditors for being strong partners in the structuring process and for annual debt sustainability analysis, medium-term debt strategies, and credit risk analysis. Madam, to strengthen risk mitigation in our public debt management, we will take a proactive market-based approach. This will involve various debt management operations aimed at optimizing our debt portfolio, as well as supporting development of our domestic market using market-based solutions. On the CDF, Madam Speaker, on assuming office in 2021, we made the bold decision to enhance the CDF. Since then, the program has become one of the most powerful tools for delivering equitable, inclusive, and sustainable development to our people. Communities all over the country love CDF for obvious reasons. It is delivering development, which they've never seen since independence. Madam, we must congratulate ourselves as Zambians for coming up with this novel idea of CDF on our own, which is having so much impact. Madam, since 2022, through CDF, we've built 2,800 classroom blocks, rehabilitated 422 classroom blocks, procured 670,000 desks. To improve access to health care, we've constructed 131 health posts, 105 new maternity annexes, and to provide access to clean and sanitation water, we have drilled 1,941 boreholes, installed 531 water schemes, and built 228 ablution blocks. Madam Speaker, it is very nice that to enhance the education and skills development through CDF, 8,652 secondary school learners have been granted boarding bursaries, and 152,000 youth have enrolled in various skills. This is all happening, Madam Speaker, because CDF is decentralized to every corner of the country. If these monies were dispersed in Lusaka, the person in Liua, the person in Congo, in Katete, in those villages, they would have little chance. So money now has been taken to where the people are. Let's congratulate ourselves for this innovative. Madam, These achievements are more than just numbers on the page. They represent lives that have been changed for a better. Madam Speaker, moving on to monetary policy, this will continue to play a critical role in fostering price stability by steering inflation back to the target band of 6 to 8% for the medium term. We will also continue to strengthen monetary policy framework, including reinforcing the use of kwacha in domestic transactions. The Bank of Zambia has conducted extensive consultation with stakeholders and will issue regulations by the end of this year. The regulations will outline exemptions and will be accompanied by detailed guidelines. On the financial sector, Madam Speaker, the goal is to make the law responsive to the development in both domestic and financial landscape. And this will be done by the revision of the Banking and Financial Services Act. This bill will be tabled before this House during this current session. To enhance financial sector safety, you recall when a bank closes, there's always turmoil in the depositors. To address that, I will table a deposit protection scheme before the end of this House during the current session. Further, the Bank of Zambia will issue banking and financial services deposit protection rules by the end of this year. Under these rules, a fund will be established to pay out deposits up to a specified amount in the event of a bank closing. Madam Speaker, to unlock access to affordable credit, government will continue supporting the de-risking of lending to SMEs through the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme. In addition, Bank of Zambia has made strides toward operationalizing a 5 billion fund to support small businesses. Further, the credit guarantee scheme through commercial banks will continue. On the external sector, Madam Speaker, government will continue to maintain flexible exchange rates, build international reserves, and provide market support to mitigate excessive exchange rate volatility. To support international reserves, Bank of Zambia has so far purchased refined gold worth $322.6 million as at end August 2025. To boost exchange earnings, government will continue with its efforts to diversify exports. Madam Speaker, let me now move on to part 3 of the budget speech, which is the 2026 budget. Madam, I now present the 2026 national budget, whose allocations are in line with the priority programs in the 8th National Development Plan. The allocation also supports the theme that was in the President's speech regarding consolidating our socio-economic gains. Madam, I propose to spend a total of 253.1 billion kwacha, or 27% of GDP. This will be financed from domestic revenues of 206.5 billion. In other words, almost 82% of the budget will be financed by our own efforts. Madam Speaker, grants from cooperating partners will be 12.1 billion, or 4.8% of the total budget, and the balance of 34.5 billion, or 3.7% of GDP, will be financed through domestic and external borrowing. Domestic borrowing is projected at almost 22 billion kwacha, or 2.3% of GDP, while external borrowing is 12.9 billion, or 1.4% of GDP. Let me now present the 2026 budget by functions of government. Madam Speaker, I propose to spend 92.6 billion, or 36.6% of the budget, on general public services. Significant outlays under this category include 52 billion and 22 billion for domestic and external debt services, respectively. So payment on domestic debt, 52 billion, and foreign, 21.7. Madam, you will note that the burden of servicing domestic debt at 52 billion is now much higher compared to that of external debt at 21.7 billion. This is the reason because between 2015 and 2021, there was an aggressive domestic borrowing program through issuance of treasury bills and bonds between 2015 and 2021. Those bonds are now maturing starting next year. So these instruments are maturing, and hence the big jump in the domestic debt service, particularly in 2026. After that, it tapers down. It is clear, therefore, that the effects of the excessive borrowing during those days are still with us, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've also allocated 1.2 billion for costs relating to the conducting of the 2026 general elections, including other election-related activities. Madam, to continue empowering our local authorities and ensure equitable distribution of resources, I've allocated 1.4 billion to the Local Government Equalization Fund. Further, 810 million has been allocated for the compensation fund to facilitate payment for court cases won against government. 4.7 billion towards dismantling of arrears to suppliers of goods and services. Madam, expenditure proposals under the economic affairs, I propose to spend 58.6 billion, or 23.2% of the budget, on economic affairs. Of this amount, 15.5 billion in the informal sector are not paying anything, but they make the biggest noises when demanding for public services. Some of the tax proposals I will present today, therefore, are intended to claw some money from those who hide from paying taxes. Madam, to enhance domestic resource mobilization and provided targeted relief to spur growth, I propose the following measures. Madam Speaker, to stimulate local manufacturing and value addition, I propose to revise the selected goods surtax and the customs duty on imported steel products, pasta, processed meat, and edible offal, carbon dioxide, flexible PVC pipes, polyester fiber, and float glass. What this means is that all these items, when imported, they'll be more expensive because there are local alternatives that are available that we must support. In addition, Madam Speaker, I propose to remove customs duty on a complete knockdown components. I propose to remove customs duty on complete knockdown components for the assembly of motor vehicles, including tippers, electric vehicles, tricycles, motorcycles, truck trailers, and tractors. Madam Speaker, watch the space, because we are doing this so that these items can be manufactured locally in Zambia. Okay, I'll repeat. I propose to remove customs duty on complete knockdown components that are used for the assembly of motor vehicles, which includes tipper trucks, electric vehicles, tricycles, motorcycles, truck trailers, and tractors, so that they get made in Zambia. Madam, micro, small, and medium enterprises must grow. For this to happen, they need our support. I therefore propose to provide tax relief as follows. Increase tax exempt threshold for turnover tax and rental income tax to 2,500 from 1,000 kwacha per month. What this means is that previously, if you earned turnover and the rental income in excess of 1,000 kwacha per month, then you are liable to tax. Now that 1,000 has been shifted up to 2,500. That's when you begin to pay the tax. So it is the relief. They increase turnover tax threshold for artisanal and small-scale mining to 5 million from 800,000 kwacha for the same reasons. And also reduce the penalty for late turnover tax payment to 0.5% from 5%. Madam, I said earlier on that we need to attract investment in the electricity subsector so that we deal with the problem of this as part of the solution to address that gap I spoke about between the cost of producing water and the price at which it is sold. E, remove 5-year carry-forward limitation period of disallowed interest. And F, the allowable income tax deduction for companies employing persons with disabilities to 2,500 from 2,000. And G, extend the charge of advanced income tax to all remittances. In other words, people who remit funds without paying tax, we had put a tax on the remittances unless they can prove that they've taxed. But what some were doing, they avoided using banks, use other mechanisms, so that tax is now extended to all other mechanisms where people can transmit funds without paying tax. Madam Speaker, I propose to adjust upwards fees. I propose to adjust upwards citizenship fees. Madam Speaker, you've heard in certain places to get a citizen, the amount of fee you pay is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So clearly, those who want to come to Zambia, we believe they must have a strong will to come because they've seen some honey and milk and honey here. Therefore, we are going to increase the fees. Of course, we welcome them. We welcome them, but this is what we are talking about. So we propose to adjust upwards citizenship fees, visa fees for those countries which must obtain the visa, firearm license fees, and also mobile money levy rates. Please understand me. This track fees on mobile money is not a tax on the mobile money companies. It's a tax on those who don't want to pay tax, but every now and then they're sending 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 somewhere. Clearly it means they've got money, isn't it? So why should they not pay anything? But the teacher must pay tax, the nurse must pay tax. So these fees are not for the mobile money companies. These are fees targeted at those who do the transactions. Further, I propose to adjust toll fees upwards on all motor vehicles except small and light vehicles and buses. Madam Speaker, on housekeeping measures, I propose to amend the Income Tax Act, the Customs and Excise Act, the Value-Added Tax, and the Zambia Revenue Authority Act, and other relevant laws. This is aimed at updating, strengthening, and removing ambiguities. Conclusion, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the past 4 years have been momentous. The UPND took over administration of our country at a time when there were serious challenges. Lawlessness reigned as political cadres terrorized citizens and became the law unto themselves, to the extent they could even raid police stations and the police officers would scamper. Elections, Madam Speaker, became rivers of blood. Economic governance was also seriously challenged. Our country was heaped with unsustainable debt against the advice of both local and foreign experts. Utilization of public resources became questionable, in some cases leading to revelations later through investigations and court cases of massive corruption. Madam, where governance is broken down, economic performance is unlikely, and this was the case in our country. Combined with challenges of COVID-19 pandemic, we saw our mining industry collapsing, and so did many other industries. Citizens, especially the weak and those in rural areas, paid a heavy price for the declining economy. This is why the UPND, while in opposition and upon taking over government, this new dawn administration committed itself to fix the economy and better the livelihoods of our people. And, Madam Speaker, this is what we've been doing since 2021, fixing the economy, fixing the country.
Thank you so much for being.
Was there somebody saying something? Okay. Thank you. Let's silence our phones if they are on, please.
And, Madam Speaker, many of the decisions that we made to fix the economy were taken in this House as we deliberated together to improve our economy and push more resources towards the poor. Madam, I stand before you today filled with pride to report that we have now fundamentally transformed the economy in readiness for further economic expansion and greater opportunities for our citizens. The debt burden which had crippled our economy has been eased as we have reached debt restructuring agreements with most of our creditors. New investments in the various sectors have been attracted as investors who once looked away are now choosing Zambia as the land of opportunity. Madam, 5 years ago, who would have imagined that Zambia would be a major exporter of fertilizers when the country was a big importer of the same commodity? Or that this country would have a big steel industry? Or that Mulungush Textiles, which was almost turned into a shopping mall, would truly come back to life as a factory producing textiles? Or that Tazara would one day come back to life? Or indeed, that mines like Kesiam, Mopani, Kalengwa, and others would come back to life with brand new ones, like cobalt and Kutumba would emerge. Madam Speaker, farmers are now producing more because of the interventions in this government put in place, such as an enhanced e-voucher system and accessibility to affordable loans. Madam Speaker, our children, who are the future leaders, now have the opportunity not only to go to school, but sit in proper classrooms with good desks. Madam Speaker, an unprecedented number of teachers, many of whom, after training, had remained seated at home for 10 years. They were trained for 10 years waiting for a job. Now, Madam Speaker, those teachers are being hired. And as they get hired, they are teaching our children. Madam Speaker, youth are being provided with bursaries. Madam Speaker, this government is not taking away meal allowances from students. This government is adding more meal allowances to this government. The quality of education is being improved. Madam, we have transformed the health sector. We have constructed new hospitals, maternity access. We have reduced distances to health facilities because in many constituencies, Madam Speaker, wherever you find a school, there's also a new health facility that has been constructed. So school, clinic, this is what, and water. This is what is happening in our country today. Our mothers in remote areas can now deliver in decent maternity wards. We have improved the stock of medicines, and those who steal medicines will come for you. We have recruited thousands of health personnel. The quality of our health services is improving. Madam, we're improving the basic necessities of life. Madam, this transformation is not the achievement of this government alone. This is a testament of the sacrifice of every citizen that worked hard in the markets, in the shops, on the farms, in the mines, in the classrooms, in the hospitals, and many other fields of work. Madam, the work of this government is far from over, but challenges like youth unemployment and poverty cannot be totally eliminated in 4 years. But before the jobs have been created, that's where we have social cash transfer. That's why we've cash for work, to support those who are not getting jobs now. But what is clear, Madam Speaker, is that the decline of the past has been arrested, and the country is now headed in the right direction. The commitment, Madam Speaker, the commitment and the competence demonstrated by this government thus far in reversing a terrible situation to one of hope, that commitment and competence should give everyone hope that the outstanding challenges will be resolved in a similar manner. These achievements are just a stepping stone towards improving the livelihoods of our people. In this budget, Madam Speaker, or rather, I would say, Madam Speaker, I thank the people of Zambia for their support. I thank the President for the support. I thank Cabinet for the support. And above all, good leadership. Above all, good leadership. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I thank you, Madam Speaker, and all the MPs in this House. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and all the MPs in this House for standing together to do the good things for our people. It is this House that made the vital changes, like eliminating subsidies on fuel and cutting out other less critical expenditures so that the money saved can be utilized to introduce free education, increase CDF, increase social cash transfer, introduce cash for work. That, Madam Speaker, is leadership. And I thank the House and all the MPs for this solidarity. Together, we are indeed consolidating economic and social gains towards a prosperous, resilient, and equitable Zambia. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Order, honorable members. Have we not something different about the Honorable Minister of Finance? He doesn't need specs anymore. He's reading without specs. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, in line with the Standing Order 166-2 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, the estimates stand referred to respective committees for detailed consideration. In that regard, the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee is expected to submit its report on the estimates to the House by Tuesday, 28 October 2025. However, following a resolution by the House Business Committee at its meeting held on the 24th of September 2025, the House will reconvene for one day on Thursday, 2nd October 2025, to enable the House deal with urgent business in line with the Standing Order 166-4. Her Honor, the Vice President, adjournment.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House now adjourns.
The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House. Is now adjourned.
and equitable Zambia. So that's the theme for the 2026 budget address, consolidating economic and social gains towards a prosperous, resilient and equitable Zambia. So in a few minutes from now, we'll be getting reactions from various stakeholders that have been invited